Hello everybody, welcome back to Artificial Control, and no, it's not NASA. So, welcome back. I know it's been a little while. It hasn't really been that long, it's been 2 weeks. If you guys missed me that much, I missed you too, so. But, if you're coming back from last week's video, thank you. And if you're new and you've never seen my face around before, my name's Artemis and I talk about heavily endowed figures. But, you might have been clicking on this video because you're not really interested in figures, but I did just kind of call you out for overconsumption, and you might be a different type of collector. You're also welcome in this space. But before I actually get into the actual topic of the video, I just wanted to give a quick little update to the last video that I made, which discussed the Trump tariffs and just the tariffs from the US to other countries, and Good Smile Company's response to that. So I didn't just want to ignore all the updates that have been happening. Like I said in the last video, things could literally change on a daily basis, and me calling out Good Smile Company ended up warranting a response. Not that I made it, held a gun to Good Smile Company's head and they're like, whoa, this YouTuber made us get a response. But I think because of the enormous amount of backlash and the enormous amount of cancellation requests they've gotten, Good Smile Company has actually proceeded to try and mend the mistake that they've made. So if you are somebody who has orders with Good Smile Company currently right now and they're set to be released in May, their response is in this email right over here that I am displaying totally, that it contains all of the information. Now, you need to read this email very, very carefully because from the date that email was sent, we have until May 8th, 2025, not 2024, in order to request a cancellation. And I'm going to highlight it, but you need to say a very specific phrase in your cancellation request in order for it to count. Now, I do want to say that I'm not going to leave Good Smile Company completely off the hook, considering that people have done this method and haven't gotten their orders canceled. So I don't know if it works. I just want to give you guys the information so you guys can try it out for yourselves, and maybe let me know in the comments down below if they're actually holding to their promise over here. But I just wanted to show you what they sent out to their customers, and maybe you can save yourself some money. Also, for people who are using FedEx as shipping, I didn't even know that Good Smile Company used FedEx as a shipping provider before. They have suspended that in another email. So just wanted to give you guys that quick update. Again, things could change from today to tomorrow, and I am not an economist. I am not your father. So make decisions as you please, but please do not correct me. Or at least just let me know about your experiences. I'm not in this field. Anyways, so by the title and by the things behind me, you might assume that I am the final boss for overconsumption. And why do I have the qualifications to call you out for your overconsumption in your hobbies? Who the hell am I to tell you what to do? I'm not here to tell you what to do, and I know how it looks, I know how it seems, but I promise that everything that I have in my room, in my collections, and things that I've collected over the years have been completely intentional, with only a few mistakes or things that I regret over time. And I can say, at least with that experience, that the trend that I'm seeing in hobbies is more so turning people into buyers rather than collectors. And that's something that's really been bothering me. This idea has just been cooking for the last 2 weeks in my head, and I'm like, okay, I just need to talk about it. I don't care if nobody listens to this. I don't care if nobody watches this. It's my opinion, and you guys are here to listen about it because you're watching this. But what do I mean between buyer and collector? What is the difference? Because collectors buy things, obviously, or they trade things in order to get the things that they want. So I think this really started in the COVID era. And again, it's ironic because I started collecting figures during COVID, or at least in 2021. And I think this need to just not focus on your future and not save things due to the state of the economy kind of started around that time where there was so much uncertainty with what would happen in the world, especially because we were all stuck in our apartments and playing Animal Crossing for 500 hours and then writing our college entrance essay for it. Yes, I did do that. But people were just buying with all the stimulus checks, and obviously some people were using it for groceries and stuff, but we became a culture of just shipping things to our house, no matter how cheap or how unuseful or non-useful they are in our everyday lives, just to have more things awaiting us in the mailbox. So I think that this wasn't just limited to the pandemic, and it unfortunately has seeped into actual hobbies and collector spaces where people are passionate about the things that they are collecting. And now I can actually get into the difference. So I don't know if you guys are on TikTok. if I hope you're not on TikTok, but I've unfortunately downloaded the app again. And, you know, from being on that app from even before COVID, it's just become a hellhole of, you know, like referral links and telling you to buy things on the TikTok shop. And with so many people buying stuff from Temu and Shein, which I will always shit on, by the way, if you guys buy from those stores, please just stop. But obviously you're not going to listen to me, and you're not going to listen to the millions and millions of people who are telling you that it's terrible for the environment. It has become so normal to buy things that we would have never considered collecting to begin with. You see this with Pokemon cards. You see this with figures. You see this with anime in general, right? Ever since it's become a little bit more popular. People are buying things that they have no idea where they are from, why people are supposed to enjoy them, and it's just become more of a status symbol to just have more shit in your house and just have these huge hauls of things that you don't really care about. Again, I'm not going to say that I'm perfect, because I have bought figures before of series that I haven't watched or games that I haven't played before. I am not perfect, but I bought those figures for my own reasons as a collector. So being a collector is different than just buying a ton of shit. I honestly think that having one binder filled with like your favorite regular Pokemon cards, right, that you've been collecting for a really long amount of time and you're passionate about those things and you like that specific Pokemon, is far more impressive than anyone who has just thrown their entire credit card buying like all the base sets and just having walls and walls filled with Pokemon items. Now, am I going to say that everybody who has a ton of stuff from a specific brand or, you know, IP is not a collector? Obviously, I'm not saying that, but there's definitely a trend of YouTubers and influencers. I don't want to call them influencers. They don't influence anything other than bad purchases. But influencers and just people on the internet making this a trend, making people's like passions and niches a trend. And it affects everybody in a negative way. It doesn't help anybody at all. It just turns something that used to be accessible, such as gaming with the Nintendo Switch 2, into something that is more of a luxury than it already was for the people who decided to put their hard-earned money into these spaces. You see, I don't know, like Jake Paul, I'm pretty sure that's a thing. And the reason why I'm talking about Pokemon is because I'm getting into that space a little bit, because I found my old Pokemon cards. But it's really sad because somebody like Jake Paul can go buy and, you know, do rip and ships or something, whatever they're called, and make that a popular thing, but encourage scammers to give fake cards or fake packages, or not even give people the things that they paid for, because Pokemon is a trend now. No kids can buy like Pokemon cards and just play it with their friends. Like, people are seeing these hobbies and things that we have been passionate about for many, many, many years as a profitable, marketable thing. And it's just sad. And, you know, buying things that you do not care about actually encourages this behavior. And I'm gonna keep, like, saying this till the end of time, because, believe it or not, buying shit that you don't care about and having a stockpile that you will never open actually encourages people to think that it's something that they can profit off of. You know, that's why I say that your hobby is not an excuse to overconsume in that hobby. Now, again, I have over 100 scale figures, but that has been something I have collected for over 4 years. Now, that's a very short time scale compared to many of you who've been collecting for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. But I have been watching anime since I was in middle school, and I know that's not too long for many of you, but that was certainly before TikTok made anime popular, or before anime was on Netflix, you know, easily available. I was watching anime on YouTube with the bright neon orange or yellow color screen, or blue, where the actual episode was in the corner and you had to watch 15 parts for one episode. So I would say that me going so hard into this hobby isn't necessarily with the, you know, mentality of a buyer, but more as a collector, because this is a physical representation of things that I have loved in my life for a very long amount of time. Again, before I even collected figures, I even had like enamel pin collections, like behind me, right over here, you can see my 3x4 foot pin board. And originally I never collected anime pins. I collected Etsy pins because I enjoy art. I enjoy the arts, and I commission artists from time to time. And I have another one over here. But I did that for like 5 years. And spoiler alert, nobody really cared about like the expensive metal that I was buying. In high school, everybody was like, why the hell are you spending $20 on a, you know, on a piece of metal, right? And when you can just buy a sticker, or you can just print out the image. And I didn't have to justify myself to anybody because it wasn't something like, it wasn't a status symbol. Everybody probably thought that I was like a loser for buying it, but did I buy it because I wanted to? Absolutely. And I think that that's the mentality we need to have more when it comes to your hobby. And this is why I'll bring the overarching question. And I think the question that all of you need to ask yourselves, especially if you have a stockpile of things that you are not planning to open for a little while, and it's, if you couldn't share, or if you couldn't flex your collection at anybody, if it couldn't be seen as a status symbol, and if it definitely couldn't be resold or, you know, like appraised for their value, would you even collect the things that you are collecting? For example, my enamel pins, especially in 2020, even when they were able to be sold for around the same price that they sold at, I still collected them, and I have probably sold less than 10 pins out of the hundreds that I've ever bought, because my interest in buying something and my interest in collecting something isn't rooted in the worth that other people find in it, right? So I guess that's why I have such a retention rate for all the things that I buy in my room and just the items that I have in general, because collecting is something that expresses who I am. It's an outward expression of me, and you know, that's sort of how I designed my room, actually, because I didn't have my own room growing up. It's like, I want somebody to walk into my room and not confuse my room for literally anybody else's. I want somebody to be able to walk into my space and be like, yeah, this is Artemis's room. And again, there's no shame in buying, you know, having a mistake or regretting a purchase that you've made, but constantly feeding into this pipeline of just buying stuff you do not care about because other people find it valuable, or it has a high aftermarket value, or you think that other people will find it valuable in 20 years, even though none of the kids that would actually find it valuable are able to get the product. Like, it's not worth it. It doesn't make you a collector, it makes you a buyer. It just makes you like another cog in the machine of capitalism. And again, where I'm buying the same stuff, I'm feeding into this machine, but I'm doing it with intention. So, for example, like, enamel pins almost seemed like the most niche thing that I could do. There wasn't really a community surrounding it. Luckily, with anime figures, there is a community, and there are people that I can talk to, and that's how I found all of you lovely people. But like, enamel pins was just limited to Discord servers, and if you followed the creator on Instagram. And did that make my collection any less valuable? Does it make my time that I spent collecting these things any less valuable? Absolutely not. And unfortunately, in 2025, you know, like May, or not May yet, but in April 26, 2025, unfortunately, I think that that's the mentality that a lot of people have, and a lot of you guys might have, which is really sad, because you should be happy with every purchase that you make. You should not get something in the mail, open it, and then never think about it again. Or better yet, like, just leave them in the corner and never think about it again, because all you did was put your credit card in a machine. Anybody can do that. You know what people can't do? They cannot go into your mind. They cannot have the praise for the things that you buy for you, right? And they cannot give you satisfaction, right? Swiping your credit card is accessible. Actually enjoying and curating the things that are important to you is not that easy. And I encourage you, rather than looking at micro trends, rather than looking at Reddit as to what is the most sought after Pokemon card, or what is what is the easiest way to resell a Nintendo Switch to, I implore you to actually think, is this something that I care about? I know that seems like such a simple question, but you know, it just seems like nobody thinks that nowadays. And the few people that do suffer as well, because if you're watching this video and you're into figures, for example, or you collect Pokemon cards, or even you collect enamel pins or plushies, it's like people coming into the hobby because it's a status symbol, like for example, like Labubu or something, like some K-pop artist bought a Labubu and suddenly it's like marked up 300% just because it's a Labubu. These are just examples of how everybody suffers. People are wasting their money and getting into credit card debt for things they never would have cared about to begin with. And then the people who are actually interested in the niche or the hobby, or have been in the community for a long time, end up having to pay higher prices that they've never seen before, simply because their source of enjoyment has become a status symbol. It's become a way to flex on Instagram or flex on YouTube, and now it's become the source of Shein and like I don't know, Temu hauls on TikToks. I just hope that we get to a point where everybody is satisfied collecting things that they like Again, it sounds so simple, but time and time again, I see a trend. I see Labubu's. I see random blind boxes. I see people reselling Pokemon cards that were like $2 originally for like $200. It does not make any sense. And I think that overall, you cannot use, oh, I'm a collector, oh, this is my hobby, as an excuse to waste your money. It's not an excuse. You know, you are a product. You are the product for most of these things. And you are not buying a product, you are buying a status symbol. And is that really something that's worth your time and your effort and your hard-earned money? You know, when you think about a $200 figure, if you're having a minimum wage job and you're in college, imagine how many hours that it would take you to buy that figure. Would you still buy that figure? I don't think so. But yeah, I'm just rambling. I hope you guys have a good one. And yeah, so those are all my thoughts. And I will see you guys with voiceover Artemis. I don't know how to make an intro. Anyways, or outro. Anyways, bye! Welcome back to the end of another video. You have again saved your attention spans and reached the end of another long-form content video. Congratulations, people. This is a special shout out to the person in my last video's comment section telling me that I'm lame for yelling at the end of my videos. This is a special one for you. Ah! 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 Anyways, so I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you guys so much again for 3,000 subscribers. And to that special person in my comment section, you're also stuck in 2014. And ah! Anyways, here's some bloopers. Bye. Welcome back to the end of an guy or girl. I don't know who you are. At the ah! All right, let's get the shit on. Fuck. Okay. Things can change from today to tomorrow, and I am not in a comment.